So after a long week of finals and everything, how did you feel the guys responded? I know you guys practiced yesterday too, but how did you feel the guys responded?
Good energy the last 2 days. Yesterday was a little squirrely. You know, guys are always kind of excited to be done with finals and getting going. But once we got going, we were pretty good. Today was better in terms of focus. We're still kind of in a little bit of a improvement. Everybody getting some reps right now, ones, twos, threes, and kind of others. And then we'll focus more wholesale on Texas on Tuesday.
I know one of the big topics obviously was the hangover effect of not being in a BCS bowl and playing an opponent that maybe isn't quite in Alabama this year. Do you sense that hangover effect is completely gone from the guys?
I sure hope so. I mean, you can't sit around and wallow on, what could have been. We need to focus on getting ourselves better and get ready to compete against it. I mean, you flip on the tape and they've got incredible talent in every phase. They're excellent on special teams. They've got the speed, the athleticism, the size of the best of the best in our conference, and that doesn't take long to realize that. We haven't totally gone to game plan mode yet, so a bunch of those guys haven't watched a ton of film, but I sure hope we've flushed that.
Have you sensed any extra excitement from some of the Texas guys, especially Josh playing in his last game?
I would imagine a little bit. I haven't. We've been gone recruiting this entire week, and so we haven't been around the guys as much as you'd like this time of year. But those guys, again, hopefully that's emphasis on preparation. Having a great couple weeks here to prepare, and then go out and play like you normally would.
What players did you request?
Josh, Braylon, and Marcus.
Okay.
I think. Did you? Did Scott talk to you about interviewing for the boys again?
Mm-hmm.
How does that process go? Does he just come up to you and say that he's going to do that, or?
It's always different. We've had a lot of guys that have been approached about different jobs, and usually somebody from the other school calls you or the athletic director. I think both the athletic directors had talked in this situation because they knew each other from their past. I can't remember exactly where they crossed paths, but that's a byproduct, hopefully, of continued success is people are interested in our guys.
Obviously, you don't want to lose them. Do you encourage that to go through that process?
It depends. It depends on what it is. I think each situation is unique. It's kind of like when you're advising a guy to take a look at the NFL or not, or whatever those options are. It's very individualized.
About the Texas defense.
Well, they're incredibly talented, especially up front. They're long, they're fast, they're physical, and then they've always been. Texas is one of those places from a defensive back standpoint. They've been outstanding. Those guys can do everything. They change up coverage a ton, and they're not afraid to play zero. They're not afraid to play man free against some great wideouts. So they're a huge challenge. I mean, there's certainly no lack of talent when you look at them.
Mark, how would you describe your guys' run defense last month?
Not good enough. I think that's maybe the easiest way to put it. Some of it, we can, like we've talked about before, we can scheme it a little bit better. Some of it is tackling. Some of it is trying to do somebody else's job. But altogether, we need to be better. You get one extra question because I couldn't hear a word you said the other day.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was like
I kept trying to ask more, and they wouldn't. I guess you only get one question.
When you guys ask your questions, like you hear something over the phone, and it's like so loud you can't understand the words.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But I was like, what did he say?
In the grand scheme of things, I mean, in a general sense, a 4-3 is better to stop the run. 3-4 is better at stopping the pass or applying pass rush. Moving forward for this program, will you look at putting in a 4-3? Are you satisfied with the 3-4?
Oh yeah, I mean it's. I don't think that in and of itself is not a huge. You can be a 3-4 team and I mean some of the best run defenses in football history. You look at the Ravens defense several years ago. I mean that's a 3-4. Yeah, the Steelers are a 3-4. That's not necessarily the deal. It's your scheme against the opponent's scheme, and your guy against their guy in a one-on-one deal. How many guys are two gapping? How much you move, how much you pressure. That's where kind of that stuff. I mean, when you line up in a 3-4 and you blitz one guy, it just became a 4-3. From a schematic standpoint. And so it's more the coverages that you can disguise and the looks that you can disguise that I think make it in an ideal world better.
The 3-4.
Yeah.
How happy were you to get Louis C., the lineman recruit, and get him to commit?
We cannot talk about recruiting at all.
Okay.
Appreciate the question.
You guys are coming off 4 BCS games, obviously. Have motivation for a game that's not a BCS game a concern at all?
I sure hope not. I mean, I hope. There's so many things to play for. You get to play another game. This will be the last game of a bunch of guys' careers. It's the last game. Last game of this team's existence. Ending with a win is always makes for a lot better off season. Helps in a lot of ways. But yeah, you always want to show up and play. And again, when you get a chance to compete against Texas, Texas is still Texas, and they are incredibly talented and can come up and get after anybody on any given Saturday.
What do you see from their rushing attack?
A couple of big tailbacks, big physical guys. I mean, Malcolm Brown is a big physical guy. His hometown is San Antonio, so he'll probably be, even that much more excited to play. But yeah, I don't think there's too many secrets of what their approach is going to be initially. For sure, they're gonna show up and make us stop them.
Do you feel like this is almost a road game for you guys?
Well, definitely. It'll definitely be a road game. Our fans will show up in force, but just purely geographically speaking, and growing up where San Antonio is, it's about an hour and something from Austin.
45 minutes.
45 minutes, okay. There you go. Yeah, I mean, naturally it'll be a partisan crowd.
Did you get to talk to Mac at all about everything that he's going through over the last couple of weeks, especially?
I did, yeah.
What did he say to you?
He was great. He's a very very classy guy. I've known a lot of guys that have worked for him and been around him, and I've met him a couple times just crossing paths. But a very, very impressive guy, and just being around him, he handled all that stuff really well. And I kind of said, hey, sorry for this, and he kind of said sorry for this, and we went on. Yeah.
I know you guys always want to stop the run, but is there a special emphasis on getting better at that for this game because that's their strength?
Absolutely. I mean, that's their strength, and it's something that we haven't been as good as we need to be recently. And so when they're watching our film, they're going, okay, here it is, and so that's where we need to improve in what we can improve upon, and then attack their scheme.